When somebody says, let's fix EI, we tend to think about how it will play in rural, more eastern areas, such as those east of the Ottawa River. Maybe we should ask how it's been working in Toronto. I also think that EI benefits have to be less related to the predictable spells of seasonal layoffs or plant maintenance shutdowns or the school year that will probably lead to the job coming back. And I think we have to have our EI system more related to the structural changes in labor demand that will require structural changes in labor supply. So we can debate whether EI works well or not for the person whose job is likely to come back. I'm pretty sure it doesn't work that well for the middle-aged person who's had high labor market attachment, but who has lost a job that will never come back. So this takes me to the active part of the EI system, where I think we have to revisit what I called in the paper our second chance system. Our second chance system is the reserve parachute that lets many whose first chance did not work, whether through bad luck or even bad decisions, try again. And it encompasses both training and associated income support. No matter what we do to improve our first chance system, our second chance system will always be needed. No first chance system can immunize all people against bad outcomes. And I'm not so sure our second chance system is that good.
The remaining of my time, I will focus on 3 concrete proposals for reform. First one, invest more in active measures and eliminate the tightness between Part 1 and Part 2 of EI. The EI reform adopted in 1996 divided the EI account into 2 parts. Part 1, under the full jurisdiction of the federal government, funds regular benefit and special benefits. Part 2 funds employment benefits and support measures managed by the provinces. Pursuant to the EI Act, the amount of employment benefit must not exceed 0.8% of insurable earnings. In fact, Part 2 has never reached this limit, which is below the average of OECD countries. The total figure for labor agreements funded by EI is around $2 billion and has been mostly constant through time. This distinction between Part 1 and Part 2 creates a wall between passive and active measures and explains in part why Canadian investment in active measures are so low and could never reach the average for OECD countries. In fact, it's the law that forbids it. Moreover, Part 1 does not cover preventive measures, such as enabling businesses to use EI to partially pay for training for their employees instead of laying them off temporarily. Because of this tightness between Part 1 and Part 2, some unemployed workers can claim regular benefits and wait until the end of their insurable period under Part 1 before looking to active measure under Part 2. If the wall between Part 1 and Part 2 is eliminated, it then makes more sense for only one administration to be responsible for the delivery of regular and employment benefits. A unique delivery system also makes it easier to enable the principle of reciprocity, to activate passive measures, to reduce the length of unemployment, and to improve productivity growth. As for active measure, this responsibility falls to the province because they have a better grasp of local and regional realities.
I don't have time to get into the whole issue of access to benefits, but in Ontario, fewer than half of the unemployed are collecting employment insurance. And in our report, which is available on our website at taxpayer.com, we outline how a low-wage employee could work 26 weeks, make around $16,000, have nearly over $700 remitted to the EI program on their behalf, lose their job, and not even get those remittances returned to them. Insult to injury. And similarly, the same employee working the same number of hours at an identical job in other regions of the country can collect anywhere from $6,000 to $16,000 in EI. They can collect more than they earned. So, this system of 48 EI or 58 EI regions is without parallel anywhere else in the world.